In the first video
resonance,
of the
beings
series,
of
we
frequency.
looked at the Schumann resonance.
The Schumann resonance has been occurring on Earth since the planet had an atmosphere, and life has grown up within it and adapted.
We found that the Earth generated an oscillating electromagnetic field in response to daily lightning strikes, which constantly recharge it. And all life on the planet has been immersed in that field from the beginning. Like everything else, we've adapted to it. We also investigated the nature of various waves of different kinds.
EM waves are similar to ocean waves in that both are energy waves. They transmit energy. EM waves are produced by the vibration of charged particles and have electrical and magnetic properties. But unlike ocean waves that require water, EM waves travel through the vacuum of space at the constant speed of light.
As well as another important factor.
Above the Earth's surface, there is a layer of atmosphere that is charged by the geomagnetic activity of the Sun, called the ionosphere.
The ionosphere reflects back the lightning discharges to the ground, thereby establishing the oscillating field.
EM waves have crests and troughs like ocean waves. The distance between crests is the wavelength.
Comprised of ELF, or extremely low frequency wave.
While some EM wavelengths are very long and are measured in meters,
this is the case with the Schumann resonance waves. Are measured in hertz, which is 1 cycle per second. Resonance begins at near zero and goes on up the scale.
From very short gamma rays to X-rays, ultraviolet rays, visible light waves, even longer infrared waves, microwaves, to radio waves which can measure longer than a mountain range.
What we're talking about here is the Earth set up a standing wave that was generated when lightning strike bounced off the ground and back up to the ionosphere. Standing wave or Schumann resonance is in the extremely low frequency range. This is a critical point. You'll see why shortly. The extremely low frequency range starts here and moves up in range. It stops about here. Why is this so important? Because these frequencies produce these frequencies. If you're not aware of this, let it sink in. Established over the last 100 years by electroencephalographic tests. Immersed in their standing waves, our brains synced up with them, like a guitar does to a tuning fork. Taken in a lot of data so far, so let's back up and look at this from the human side. Looking at the history of this discovery.
An unknown scientist is about to make a discovery that should have changed everything. His name was Winifred Otto Schumann. On the day in question, he was teaching his students about the physics of electricity, how a sphere within a sphere can create electrical tension, and subsequently, a frequency. Schumann's class had struggled to understand the subject, so to make it easier, the professor instructed them to imagine the Earth as one sphere and the ionosphere as another. He then asked them to calculate the tension that would exist in between. Having no idea himself, Schumann also began to calculate. Eventually, he arrived at a frequency of approximately 10 Hertz. As incredible as it seemed to Schumann, our planet had a pulse, a measurable frequency that surrounded life on Earth. Although the professor was proud of his find, he didn't see it as a hugely significant one, especially as it was only published in a small science journal, confined to the back pages, under the heading of Schumann resonance. It would take several years, and an incredible twist of fate, before the professor would begin to realize the true importance of Schumann resonance. That twist of fate had begun 30 years earlier, with another German scientist by the name of Hans Berger. Using an EEG machine he had built himself, Berger had made the first ever recording of electrical frequency transmitted by the human brain. It was initially suggested the wave be named after the man who'd discovered it, but Berger, being a modest man, elected for an alphabetical name and called it the alpha wave. Shortly after Professor Schumann's discovery, one of Hans Berger's colleagues, a man named Dr. Ankermüller, happened to stumble upon a bedraggled copy of a small scientific journal. The exact same small scientific journal that Professor Schumann's discovery had been published in several years before. He read the piece several times, shaking his head in disbelief. He realized instantly the magnitude of what was in front of him. The frequency of the alpha waves, recorded by Hans Berger, were almost identical to Schumann resonance. The frequency of the Earth. Dr. Ankermüller immediately contacted Schumann to convince him to investigate further. Schumann agreed and worked alongside one of his students to refine his discovery. They studied in detail how tension is discharged by lightning in the Earth ionosphere cavity. Eventually, they came up with an exact frequency. The pulse of the Earth, Schumann resonance, was exactly 7.83 Hertz. The discovery was remarkable. Schumann resonance wasn't just similar to the alpha waves of the human brain, it was identical. The brain's frequency, which controlled our creativity, our performance, our stress, anxiety, and our immune system, had somehow tuned into the frequency of the planet. The pulse of the Earth had become the pulse of life itself.
Size, going up to like...
So tight is the correlation that our alpha brain waves and the peak Earth resonance are in unison. In essence, the human brain was like an instrument in a symphony orchestra, in sync with the rhythm and beat of life. Now this may seem like a lot to take in and to comprehend, but there's more.
Beings of frequency.
As brainwave researchers went deeper into the topography of the brain, they found that specific conscious states were linked to certain brainwave groups. That means specific ELF frequency. This is the delta region. In the deepest state, we are in dreamless sleep, virtually comatose. Here are the four brainwave groups: delta, theta, alpha, beta. Beta is the opposite of delta. This is when we wake up and we're ready to go. Conscious, functional, alert. Believe it or not, we have barely scratched the surface. This is just the intro to Alien, not at all the end.